Hey guys, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be doing an in-depth dive at our 24 to 25 Miami Hurricanes football team. We're going to be reacting and giving a grade out to the Miami Hurricanes football team as well as Mario Cristobal. So for the team and for the coaching staff as a whole, trying to grade how they performed this past season based off of what the expectations were and what they were able to achieve during the regular season. First things first though, guys, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below and I will respond to every single one of them. So the Miami Hurricanes, they did finish the season 10-3. That was their first 10-win season in a while. They had a great offense. They had a very, very questionable defense. That was their Achilles heel throughout the entire season. But when we're grading this team, we have to be comparing them to what the expectations were coming into the season preseason. So the Vegas pick for the Miami Hurricanes, they had them at 8.5 wins preseason during their regular season. So they had them hovering about 8 to 9 wins, and that would have been a massive improvement over the previous 23 season where they had 7 wins. So 22, 5, 23, 7 wins this past season. They did finish 10-3. They were able to get 10 wins during the regular season. So they technically overachieved from what Vegas expected them to do. So you have to give them some props there. That has to be worth some things. But with those achievements come even higher expectations. They bring in Cam Ward during the offseason. Cam Ward puts up the best Miami quarterback performance in Miami football history. They've had some really highly decorated quarterbacks there. Toretta, Kelly, a lot of guys who have lit up stats, but no one did it like Cam Ward. He broke every single season passing record. And as of today, as of right now, he is the projected number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So that just lets you know the type of season this guy had. And still, Miami was not able to get to the playoffs. The playoffs expanded from 4 teams to 12 teams. Even with a historic offense, they were not able to take that offensive performance and be able to catapult them into the playoffs. Not due to Cam Ward's fault, not the offense's fault at all, but due to that awful Miami Hurricanes defense. To me personally, this was the worst Miami Hurricanes defense I've seen in my life. This was worse than the D'Onofrio years defense. This was a really bad defense. It was a really bad secondary, a really bad tackling, really bad angles, left a lot to be desired. But overall, there's a lot to praise here still for the offense. So our team grade overall for the Miami Hurricanes and for the coaching staff as a whole is going to come into this game as a B. It's good. That's a passing grade. Solid season. 10 wins get you a B. The reason I did not give them a B+, if they make the playoffs, they finish just outside of the playoffs, just barely outside of it. Could have made a case for them to make the playoffs, but they didn't get in. If they make the playoffs, they get a B+. If they get past that first round, then they get an A. They probably weren't going to go any further than that, but still, let's take a look at these offensive stats. First, overall as a team, historic numbers. They finished with the number 1 overall offense in all of college football. 134 Division I teams. Miami finished number 1. That should have at least helped you finish in the final 12 to make the playoffs, but the defense was that bad. So they were averaging 44.2 points a game. They had the number 1 third down completion for the entire country, number 1 fourth down completion for the entire country. This was a historic type of offense. When you're looking at the amount of yards game, they came in, they were averaging 537.2 total yards per game, 7.6 offensive yards per game. Looking at the passing offense, they came into this season, well, they finished the regular season with the number 2 overall passing offense just behind Syracuse. They had 348.2 passing yards per game, number 2 in the nation, 188.9 rushing yards per game. That was number 20 in the nation. Combine those things together, and they had the number 1 overall offense. But where they finished, where they were lacking was obviously going to be on the defensive side. They finished the season giving up 25.4 points per game. That is awful. That was 75th in the entire country. In ACC play, they gave up 33.5 points per game, which was second to last. Only Wake Forest was worse. That's how bad this defense was. This isn't a normal defense. Miami came into the regular season with the number 10 overall roster in all of college football. There's no reason why the number 10 blue chip roster should finish with the number 75th ranked overall defense. That's just not going to cut it. But Mario Cristobal made the changes in the offseason. He got rid of the defensive coordinator. They're bringing in the D coordinator from Minnesota. It's going to be a new look, aggressive defense. Hopefully that will help them in the 25-26 season. But as of right now, that's what primarily held this team back from having a higher grade. But they did make the changes that they needed to make. Looking at the playmakers here, you had Cam Ward, like I mentioned, the best offensive season in Miami history. Finished with 4,300 yards. Right now, for passing touchdowns, he had 39 touchdowns. He had 7 picks. He finished with a 67.2 completion percentage. Damian Martinez, the first Miami running back to clinch 1,000 yards since Mark Fletcher. He finished with 1,002 yards, 6.3 carries, 10 touchdowns. Then you have Fletcher Jr., Lyle, Allen, very talented at the running back position and one of the best wide receiver corps in the nation. To me, a top 5 wide receiver corps. They had Restrepo, George, Horton. They had Arroyo at tight end, Brown. Weapons up and down the field. All those guys are gone. They're bringing up the new crop now. JoJo Trader, those guys, they are still loaded at the wide receiver position. But that's going to be for next year's team. Obviously, they are bringing in Carson Beck. There's not going to be much of a step back at the quarterback position. Beck should be able to perform, especially under Shannon Dawson's air raid offense. But that's going to be our grade overall. Massive improvements overall for this team. A very talented team. They got all the way into the top 4 throughout this season. Massive upgrade from Mario Cristobal. But with those improvements come higher expectations. They went from a team who was battling to get the 9 wins, 10 wins. They got that, and the expectation was now getting to the ACC championship playoffs with a historic offense. Even with the offense, they were not able to get to their first ACC championship game, and they were left out of the playoffs. How much more can you do? You were already averaging almost 45 a game. They just need the defense to play a little bit better, just a little bit better, just an average defense, and they would have made the playoffs. And they had an offense that could score on anyone. Unfortunately for them, every single game was a shootout. That's the only thing that held them back from being an A team, a B plus team, but still a B. Last season, they were a C. This season, they were a B. Maybe it's going to be next season with Carson Beck at quarterback, keeping up the improvements with the talent they have on offense, with that offensive line they have. They have a top 5 overall offensive line with the running back core they have, with an improved defense, maybe 25-26. Maybe that's going to be this season. They make that final 12. They make the playoffs, and that's when we can bump them up to an A. But that's our grading for the 24-25 Miami Hurricanes. Guys, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below, and I will respond. Thank you.